This month we're going to work on Malagueña, which is one of the first songs I ever learned on the ukulele. It's a lot of fun, gives you that kind of flamenco type of vibe, and utilizes a technique called the three-finger roll, which we're going to be working on today. Now the tabs will be shown below as we're working through it, but if you'd like to download the PDF, be sure to check out my Patreon page where you can download the PDF for this as well as all the other different lessons that we do. And every month we do a new lesson and we actually vote on which song we want to work on over there at the Patreon. So be sure and check it out if you haven't already. So with Malagueña, what we want to start with here is we're going to be playing an A chord. So we're going to take our fretting hand, we're going to place the middle finger on the second fret of the G string and index finger on the first fret of the C string. Now when we're playing this A chord with our playing hand, we're going to use just the thumb for now. It's very important that you only use the thumb as you play through these notes just for the time being, because what we're doing is kind of working in towards this three-finger roll technique. So starting here, we're going to take our thumb, we're going to play the G string, then the C string, then the E string. And we're going to do this twice through. So it goes. Now what you might notice is I'm playing with a low G ukulele. This song works with both, but it really does sound better with a low G. Just having that extra octave down below adds a richness to this song. So if you've got a low G, go ahead and try it with that. But if you're with a high G, that's good too. So as we're playing through this, it's pretty simple, just playing one note at a time through an A chord. And it gets a little bit more tricky on the second half of this first melody sequence, because what we're going to then do is play what's called a B flat major 7 chord. The way we do that is take our ring finger, place on the third fret of the G string, our middle finger on the second fret of the C, and our index on the first of the E string. So it looks something like that. And now instead of just playing G, C, E, G, C, E like we did last time, we're actually going to play the C string to start, then the E string, then we're going to remove just our index finger on our playing hand. It's important to not move the other two fingers, but just the index off our fretting hand to play open. So those three notes are 2 on the C, 1 on the E, and open the E. Then we're going to continue holding this. We're going to play 2 on the C. Then we're going to remove the middle finger to play 0 on the C. But we want to leave the ring finger there because the very next note is that 3 on the G. So when you mash those two together, it sounds something like this. 2 on the C, 1 on the E, open on the E, 2 on the C, open on the C, 3 on the G. Very good. So what's really important here as you're playing through this is to take it nice and slow, because it feels really awkward to remove one finger at a time. You might notice that you'll want to remove your middle finger first, or you might want to remove your ring finger or whatever else. And so it just takes some practice to get really comfortable with stripping the single finger away at a time. But good skill to acquire. So that's the first, what we call A section of the song. And when we put it all together, it sounds something like this. Now we move directly into the B section, and this is where it starts to be very important that you're playing that first part with your thumb. We're going to now play our thumb still on the G, C, E strings, but you'll notice between every note we play, there's going to be a 0 on the A that's shown. And we're going to want to use our middle finger, and it's really important to use the middle finger here. It's going to feel weird because you're going to probably want to use the index, but I want you to use the middle finger on the A string to play in between each of these notes. So we now will play our 2 on the G, and then follow that with the middle finger coming up on the A string. So thumb, and then middle on A. Now as you're striking this, you want to make sure that your middle finger is striking at a perpendicular angle to that A string. So your thumb is a little bit more in front at about a 45-degree angle, with your middle finger coming down to be more perpendicular. This will maximize your tone and efficiency when playing it. So you can see that my hand shape looks something like this. So I'm going to play the G string, then the A, then I'm going to play the C string, then the A, then the E, and then the A. Then I'm going to repeat that. So So you see it's exactly the same as what we played in the first part, only now we're playing the 0 on the A with the middle finger after each one. So again, the first part of B sounds like. Now from this point, we're going to go back to that B flat major 7. So ring finger on 3 of the G, middle on 2 of the C, index on 1 of the E. We're going to play the C string, then we're going to play the A string with our middle, and the E string, and the A string with our middle. And then we're going to take off that index finger on the playing hand, and the open A, play the C string, open A, take off the middle finger, open A, play the G string, and then finally open A. Right? So it's exactly the same in every way, only there's a 0 on the A played with our middle finger at the, after each one of the notes. And what's really cool is how this kind of cascades into a thicker, more rich sound, because that A string is acting as a little bit of what we call a drone note. And so normally the A string has the responsibility of playing melody notes because it's the highest pitch. But in this particular instance, it's actually just a drone while the melody's played on the lower strings. So if I were to put A into B so that you can hear what this growth sounds like, it's something like this. So really cool sound, and starts to sound like that flamenco style, right? Now we get to C, and at this point is where we're using that technique I mentioned at the beginning of the video called the 3-finger roll. This technique is really important for this song, and it's just a good one to be working on in general. And I've actually got a link in the description below that goes over the 3-finger roll in detail that you can check out if you want some extra work with it after this video. But basically all that the 3-finger roll is we're going to play something with our thumb, and then our middle, and then our index. And in this case, we're looking at it with the A string being open with the middle, and then we're going to play the A string again with the index. So we're actually playing the open A now twice after each one of the melody notes. So it looks something like this, right? We can see that we've got the 2 on the G, followed by 0A, and then another 0A. Now, what's really important is, remember how I mentioned it's really important to play with the middle finger on the previous part? That's because we want to use our middle finger first, and then that second A we're going to play with our index finger. And the reason it's important to do the middle and then index instead of doing index and then middle is primarily due to just finger lengths, with the middle finger being longer. By playing with the thumb, when you draw in the middle finger, you then are bringing your hand closer in towards the ukulele, so that your index finger can then play. And then your thumb kind of resets the process. So the middle finger kind of coming inward is more of a natural motion for your index to get a good tone. But if you were to do your index first, then you have to pull your hand a little bit away to get the length for that middle finger, and then come in with the thumb. So it just has to do with kind of hand shape and the order that we're playing in. So thumb, middle, index is the order that we want to abide to. So let's go ahead and try this. So we're going to look at the exact same part that we've been playing. So make that A chord with our middle and index fingers. We're going to play the open G the 2 on the G with my thumb. And then I'm going to use my middle finger on open A, and then my index on open A. So thumb, middle, index. Thumb, middle, index. Right now I'm just playing that first note of the song. Now what's cool is, again, we want that perpendicular angle. So I like to set my pinky in what we call an anchor, just setting on the side of the ukulele to support my hand and kind of encourage that good shape, with my thumb being a 45-degree angle right about where the fretboard meets the body. My index finger and middle finger are both going to be trying to be perpendicular to the A. Obviously they're different lengths, so as I'm playing, my hand shape kind of changes to support that. So let's go ahead and work through this last part. So we're going to go G, A, C, A, E, A. Right? So the whole first part of that is, Now we're going to switch that B flat major 7 chord, so 3, 2, 1, 0 with our ring, middle, and index. We'll play the C string, then open on the A twice. E, A, open the E, A, C, A, open the C, 2 A's, G, A. So exactly the same. So that part sounds like. Right? So the biggest trick with this is it feels a little bit like doing this, right? Because you're doing a lot of different things at once. With your left hand, you're taking off and putting back on fingers, right? With your right hand now, you're doing this weird pattern. And in the middle of all of it is that melody that's being played and you're hearing. And so it does take some practice to get comfortable with this. It seems very simple, and it is simple, but that doesn't mean it's easy, right? It's not a very complex concept, but it's very tricky. And so it takes some extra work to get that end part. The most important thing, though, is don't worry about playing it fast at first. Just worry about playing it right. This is the sort of thing that sounds really good fast, so you're going to want to kind of keep pushing the speed, and you want to make sure that you're consistent as you're ramping up that speed in which you're playing it. The single most important thing with this is the timing, and you want to make sure that the distance between each note that's played is exactly even. So when we play our G, and then our A string twice, and then our C, and then our A string twice, the distance between each one of those notes should be the same. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. See how they're very consistent. If we do something like this, where I'm going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, it's not going to sound nearly as good. So keep that timing going as you're working through it. So that whole section C should sound something like this. Now, going into section D, we're still holding this chord right here where we've stripped away the other fingers, but that ring finger is there at 3. In section D, we're going to want to take that finger off and then go back to the A chord like we play at the beginning of the song. And the squiggly line there means to strum through with our thumb. And we want to let that ring for a moment. And now from here, we're going to do a down strum on this A chord. We're going to then switch to the B flat major 7, which is the 3, 2, 1, 0 that we've been playing earlier with our ring, middle, and index. We're going to do an up strum with our index finger there. We're going to take this exact shape, we're going to slide it up 2 frets so that the ring finger's at 5, middle finger's at 4, and index is at 3. We call this a C6 chord. We're going to do a down strum there. Then we're going to slide it back down 2 frets, do an up strum again. And then we're going to return to the A chord that we started with and do a down. So section D sounds like. To close out the song. So that little symbol at the top of the A chord there is what we call a down strum, and the symbol that's on top of that B flat major 7 chord there, the 3, 2, 1, 0, is an up strum. And whenever you see those markers, it always means to use your index finger on those strums. It's usually for faster sections. In fact, one of the videos that we did earlier, we did an arrangement of I Won't Back Down. It uses quite a bit of strumming. You can check out the link in the description below if you want to learn that one. So that's Malagueña. Again, it's a really fun song because it utilizes that 3-finger roll, gets you that kind of flamenco type of vibe. And while it may be short, it's a lot to sort of work on to get comfortable with. And I find it to be one of the best kind of warm-up exercises you can do on the ukulele. So a lot of fun. If you have any questions, be sure to leave a comment below or join the Patreon, and feel free to send me a message anytime if you have any questions on there. Please, every like and share with this video goes a long way to making sure I can keep making more of them. So please feel free to do that. And I will see you guys next month for another episode of this video tutorial series. Thanks.